flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Also, please welcome Denise Flores, an Edison graduate who is now majoring in music at Northern Virginia Community College. Sorry, can you hold a second? She's majoring in community college. She's going to be singing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's bright glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And a special thanks to our Mount Vernon High School principal, Javon Rogers, and Director of Student Services, Brian Murphy, and their wonderful staff for supporting this event. This is a big deal and a lot of work on their part every year. We also want to thank the Mount Vernon High School PTSO for hosting coffee this morning. We also have the Mount Vernon High School Quartet with Cheyenne Bresson, Jocelyn Asensio Lopez, Lorenzo Valiero, Odala Osogado Morales, and Al Rodriguez, who's their orchestra director. Again, thanks to our Marine Corps JROTC Color Guard presenters, Cadet Gunnery Sergeant Jada Curry, Cadet First Sergeant Bennett Hardy, and Cadet Corporal David Hernandez, led by Major Melvin Birch Bynum and Master Sergeant Donovan Dixon. And I hope everyone had a chance to stop by and see the Kid Biz Young Entrepreneurs Expo today. It was out in the hallway outside of the cafeteria. They will be here not only today, but also here later on when we do our Taste of Mount Vernon. These small business entrepreneurs have made crafts and treats and Julian Moore, and I want to thank Fraser O'Leary for bringing the students here together and really coordinating that event. But please take advantage of these small and young entrepreneurs and show them that you care and that you're part and parcel of making this a great Mount Vernon community. Also, thank you very much to Channel 16 producer Albi Saniyoko and the entire 2016 crew, Channel 16 crew, for their professionalism and the many hours of work that they've put into bringing this to you today. Also, thank you today for Mount Vernon High School student technicians. Elizabeth Snyder and Sam Dresch are up above us, making sure that things are lit and work very well, and their theater teacher, Jess Shaw. We have many special guests here today, and please join me in recognizing them, and also keep your applause till the end if you can, because we have a number of them. First, my predecessor, Jerry Highland. Sir, without you, we would not be here today, and thank you, Jerry, for making this happen. I do have to applaud for that. Thank you, Jerry. In addition to that, well, there you go, Congressman Jerry Connolly entering with right at the right time. So thank you Congressman Connolly. We have our Senate Majority Leader and our State Senate Representative, Scott Serville. Scott, thank you very much for being here. We've got State Delegate Paul Krizak, and Paul represents this area, most of this area now with the change. Additionally, we have Jimmy Bierman and his son, Jimmy. He represents the Drainsville District and is here to kind of see what we're doing, how we do it. So, Jimmy, thank you very much for being part of our event today. Also, we have former state delegate and school board member Chris Amundsen. Chris is not here yet. Chris will be here a little bit later. Additionally, we have our former school board member, Karen Corbett-Sanders. Karen, thank you very much for being here today. And obviously, our partnership on the corridor has been a huge part of the kinds of things that we're doing here today. And I want to especially welcome our current school board member, just elected this past November, Mateo Dunn. Mateo, thank you very much for being here. I'm also pleased to recognize, and I'm not sure exactly where he's sitting, but I'm also pleased to recognize Colonel Joseph Messina. He is our colonel, the commander of the Fort Belvoir post. And Colonel, thank you very much, and your wife for being here today and being part of our group. So thank you. And I know that somewhere in the audience is our Mount Vernon Police Captain Mark Mitchell. Captain Mitchell, there you go. Thank you very much, sir. And Director of Housing, Tom Fleetwood. Tom was in the audience, in the hall, but I don't see him here right now. And then I promised her this morning that I would not mention her name because she did not want to be recognized, and so I am not going to mention her name, but I do want to thank somebody very, very important to me, very special in my life for more than 40 years, and I appreciate her being here today, even though I'm not going to mention her name. So thank you. Next, I would like to, I'd like all the Mount Vernon District appointees that serve on our boards, authorities, and commissions to please stand and be recognized. We are very, very, very fortunate to have so many citizen volunteers. Thank you all very much, and over 50 BACs. The list of the boards, authorities, and commission members are in your bag, and you'll see that we have not only openings, but we also have a great group of Mount Vernon residents who want to make sure that Mount Vernon is always well represented throughout the county, and for them, many of them, it's a long drive to the county government center to be part of that. And then I see Rachel Flynn right there. Rachel, who's our deputy county executive and in charge of development and many other things that are essential. So Rachel, thank you very much for being here today as well. Additionally, I would like to recognize our Mount Vernon residents who received awards this year for their many, many contributions to the district and the county. Please join me on stage when I call your name. First and foremost, Shirley Short, who's Lady Fairfax. Shirley, Lady Fairfax. Shirley does amazing work in our office. Anybody who's ever been to any event in our office knows that Shirley's going to be there. She is our volunteer extraordinaire and super volunteer. She also does a huge amount of work for the Mount Vernon Springfield Chamber of Commerce. But if we're doing an event in Mount Vernon, Shirley is there. And more importantly, Shirley's there an hour before the event starts to make sure everything's running right. And usually with me, she's trying to drag me along to make sure that I get my stuff done on time. So thank you, Shirley. And then we get a chance to
Mount Vernon at 12:15.
She is Miss Taste of Mount. Wait, Shirley, wait. So I got to honor Ron, and Lord Fairfax, Ron Fitzsimmons. Ron, where are you, sir? Come on up here. I want to thank them both, Ron and Lord Fairfax, for the thousands of kids that he's helped through Alice's Kids. So we're going to take a quick picture here to thank them both. We had a formal picture earlier, but thank you, sir, for all your work on Mount Vernon for decades as well. So these folks, Lady and Lord of Fairfax for Mount Vernon, thank you very much for both of them. Thank you. Yep. Yes, sir. We also had another family that we wanted to honor, Amber and Sterling Marchand and their 4 kids with Be the Good. The Be the Good project is our community champion. For those of you who don't know, we have a lot of Be the Good stations really around Mount Vernon, really around our corridor. There's one in front of our building where there's food, there's a staple food that people can come and get if they're hungry, they need something. It's there to be taken without asking. If they need it, they take it. we honor that, and this family in particular has devoted thousands and thousands of hours to building these and making sure these are available around the county, around the community for those who need. At this time, I'd like to invite Karen Corbin Sanders on the stage to recognize her for her past 8 years of service to the school board and decades of service and leadership in our community.
You shouldn't have done that.
Thank you.
They're beautiful. Thank you.
This is truly a labor of love for me because I think most of you know Karen and her decades, truly decades of work. She has worked tirelessly for our students, spearheading expanded career and technical education programs, early childhood and college opportunities, as well as career certification programs, decreasing the pre-kindergarten wait list, and really ensuring all Mount Vernon residents in schools are accredited, that we are working well together. Karen initiated the Joint Environmental Task Force, something that's very, very personal to me and I think to the county, to address proactively climate change and ensure environmental sustainability, helping to create the ambitious goals for the county and schools to be carbon neutral by 2040. We have also worked closely together over 2 decades on many, 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 many other initiatives, including the future Human Development Center at original Mount Vernon High School. Karen's truly indelible mark, and really in all of Mount Vernon. You've been a great friend, an amazing colleague, and frankly, our work together, I know will continue, but as you may know, also, Karen grew up along the Route 1 corridor. She's a Route 1 girl through and through, and therefore I couldn't think of a more appropriate gift than to share this with her and to give her this. So we're going to take a picture right over here. And Jerry, if we get the Jerry's up here, we're going to do this right here. Scott, Paul, you bet. Mateo, sure.
I love it.
Jimmy, I'm sorry, you're not a Route 1 person, so you can be an honorary one, I guess. So I'm teasing.
Jimmy, you know, we need your support on Route 1
You bet.
initiative, so come on up.
Well, he's an honorary Route 1.
Good political thinking.
All right, everybody scooch together.
Jerry, come closer. Well, there you are. Okay, you're
And
fine.
what speed limit would you like on Route 1?
2, 3.
Thank
Wonderful.
Excellent.
This is great. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
And if you want
Love it.
signatures on them, we could probably do that too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. Thank you.
You need a hand. I don't want you to.
I got it.
Okay.
Thank you. You want to run for public office?
Think about it.
Well, next I want to welcome a longtime friend of Mount Vernon, Congressman Jerry Connolly, who not only represents the 11th Congressional District and the southern area of our district, but he's also a senior member of the House Committee on Oversight and Accountability, serves as the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Cybersecurity, IT, and Government Innovation, and he also serves on the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. Jerry, it's always a pleasure to share our town meeting with you. I know you've done this for decades, not only as frankly, the Providence District Supervisor, and then as the Chairman of the Board of Supervisors. And we appreciate your leadership, not only in Congress, but your past leadership with all of us. So, sir, thank you and welcome. Thank you, Jerry. Thank you.
Well, good morning. This is my 25th Mount Vernon Town Hall meeting. I was 12, but it always kind of is a season opening to come here. And Dan, thank you for continuing a tradition that Jerry Highland helped start. And my very first coming to the Mount Vernon meeting, Jerry presented me with a six-pack of Moxie, which was voted the worst drink in the Western Hemisphere, and then gave me, but it's improved, and then he gave me a singing lobster. And the lobster sang, "Don't worry, be happy." And I need that lobster now more than ever. You know, we're close to St. Patrick's Day, and I got to just tell you the story of Mrs. Murphy, or actually Mr. Murphy. They're driving around in a parking lot like this, and they can't find a parking space anywhere. And in desperation, the Irishman Murphy turns his eyes to heaven and says, "Dear Lord, give me a parking space, and I'll give up whiskey for the rest of my life." And just then, right in front of him, a parking space opens up, and he, quick thinking, the Irishman, he looks back up to heaven and says, "Never mind, I just found one." We are 36 days to St. Patrick's Day. You know, we are at a critical moment in our country, and we're facing some really serious issues in the United States Congress that matter to us. Will we keep the government open? It's gonna, the expiration of the funding of the government is March 1 and March 8th in two parts. A shutdown of the government affects our region almost more than any other region in the country. It affects, it creates uncertainty, it affects small businesses, it affects federal employees, it affects federal contract employees. It is also a signal failure when we don't fund the government by the Congress. The last Congress, the 117th Congress, was the most productive Congress since LBJ was in the White House. And by the way, I'm very proud of this, and Nancy Pelosi says self-promotion is a terrible thing, but someone's got to do it. And in the most productive Congress in the last half century, I was designated the most effective legislator in the Congress. We did some extraordinary things. We passed the biggest infrastructure bill in American history. We passed the biggest environmental bill in American history. We passed the Chips and Science Manufacturing Act to bring technology manufacturing back to the United States, the largest industrial policy bill ever passed by any Congress in American history. We passed COVID relief that inter alia had a child tax credit that in 1 year cut child poverty in America in half, in 1 year. Now there's this Congress. Under new management, we've spent our time electing a speaker and unelecting a speaker. We wasted 6 weeks on that endeavor alone. No legislation. We are censoring people and impeaching people for frivolous reasons. In the first session of this Congress, which ended in December, we passed only 29 bills, half of them post office namings. That's fiddling while Rome burns. Meanwhile, people are fighting and dying in Ukraine for their democracy, for their freedom, and we cannot get a Ukraine aid bill to the floor of the House. That's a shameful moment. America has to stand with people who are willing to fight for their freedom, and we have to stand against the authoritarian nature of Vladimir Putin's Russia. For the last 2 years, I have served as the president of NATO's legislative arm, the Parliamentary Assembly. That means I've represented all 32 NATO parliaments as their president. And I have spent those 2 years working very hard to build consensus among our allies to help Ukraine in any and every way we can. And I'm going back to NATO this Friday. And what am I going to tell them? What am I going to tell them about American leadership, about our reliability, that you can count on us as the beacon of hope for people who aspire for the freedoms we take for granted? We have to win this political battle here at home so that they can win on the battlefield. They don't ask us to do the fighting and dying for them. They just ask us to help them in training and equipment. And that's a noble cause. We also have an incredible humanitarian crisis unfolding in the Middle East. The killing must stop. There has to be a peaceful solution. And that solution is a two-state solution. There has to be a homeland for Israel that's safe and secure from terrorist attacks like the one that occurred on October 7th. But there also has to be a homeland for the Palestinian people, millions of whom live with violence, with the uncertainty of the future, and with death and destruction occurring as we speak. That has to end. I thank you all so much for the sustenance I get every time I come here. I thank Mount Vernon for the community spirit. You know, I've often said I think local government is the most important level of government there is, Dan, because they actually have to do something. And there's no hiding, right? We know that test scores are up or down in schools. We know that crime is up or down. We know the pothole got filled. We know the street lamp got fixed or it didn't. And we know where you live and we have your phone number. That's accountability. And it really takes an act of courage for anyone to serve in local government. But it's also, I think, the most noble calling, because this is where we actually get things done. So thank you all so much for participating in today's town hall meeting. Dan, I salute you for another wonderful gathering, and please stay well. God bless you all.
Very wonderful. Thank you, man. I so appreciate you coming here every year. I really
Absolutely.
do. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jerry, and it's always a pleasure to welcome here. And I know Congressman Byer couldn't be here today, but he did express his regrets, and I appreciate his deep commitment to all of us. And he's the other congressional representative that we have through much of the Mount Vernon district. So, as a result of the 2020 census, we do have, frankly, a little bit different representation at the state level, even though we have some of the same folks that we are really familiar with and greatly appreciate their support. But there are two leaders, one in the House and one in the Senate, that I wanted to make sure had a chance to speak today. And I'm going to start with State Senator Scott Surville, who's now our Virginia State Senate Majority Leader. All of us know Scott as a tireless advocate for Mount Vernon, a dedicated public servant, and an extremely productive and proactive leader we can count on. He's represented at the state level for the past 14 years, started as a delegate and now as senator. And again, his peers recently elected him Majority Leader of the Senate. With that, welcome Senator Surville. I should say Majority Leader Surville. Yeah. Anyway, I think it's a microphone.
All right. Thanks, Dan. It's always good to be here, and thanks for giving us an opportunity, me and Paul, an opportunity to say a few words. I don't think I've been coming to this since I was 12, Jerry, but I think this started when I was 15 years old. And I know my little brother mowed Jerry Highland's grass during his campaign in 1987. So I have been coming to a lot of these, and it's always a wonderful event to see so many people here from our community to speak and hear what's going on. I'm just going to talk really quick about a couple things about our budget, which that's kind of, I think, going to be the main focus of the session. A couple bills that are bouncing around, and then some of the hot issues. So we have a brand new building, by the way, in Richmond. Please come down and visit us. You help pay for it. It's a $250 million new office building. It's probably one of the best in America. We have brand new hearing rooms. We have brand new offices. We have a restaurant finally. Capitol Square has been a food desert for the last 6 years. We have tunnels that connect everything, so you only have to go through security once. So it's a much more comfortable facility to come and visit us and lobby us and meet us. And most legislators, if they have a constituent present, will come and make time to meet with you. We're very open like that in Richmond, and we don't get to see a lot of people, especially here from Mount Vernon. So please come down. We have new majorities. We have a brand new Democratic majority in the House of Delegates, which is a big change. We're the first black speaker in the 400-year history of the House of Delegates. Delegate Krizek, he can talk a little bit about what's going on in the House, but it's been a big change over there. In my caucus, my caucus is over half of my caucus. My Democratic caucus has been there less than 1 year, which is amazing. We haven't had this much change in our legislature since about 1925, I think. I have, out of the 21 members of my caucus, I think 9 are freshmen and 2 have been there less than 12 months. So we also have 7 brand new Republicans as well. So it's not just on our side, it's on all sides. And that's kind of changed, I think, how we get things done. If you would listen to our governor and his talk about our budget, he would tell you everything's fine, it's great, we have lots of money, we can cut taxes all day, you can have everything you want, don't have to pay for anything. It's not how it works. The governor's budget, I was very disappointed in. He wanted to cut income taxes while raising sales taxes. The net effect of that would be to say if you make more than $200,000 a year, you would pay about $9,000 less per year in state income taxes. But if you make less than $50,000 a year, you would pay more in taxes because of the sales tax increase. And that was just totally unacceptable to me and my caucus. I think also to Delegate Krizek as well in his caucus. He also talked about cutting the car tax, or getting rid of it actually, which is very politically popular. But he never had a plan, explained how he was going to do it or accomplish it. And Supervisor Storck can tell you the car tax in Northern Virginia pays for about $3,500 per student in our school system. And he never explained where he was going to come up, get everybody in this room to come up with that amount of money to pay for it. And this is why we haven't talked about it for 25 years, because it's really a hard thing to figure out. I mean, to make up that kind of money, it would take a massive income tax increase. And so that's not going to be a thing. So once we unwind all of his budget gimmicks, we discover that after the Medicaid, the K through 12, all the sort of budget creep you normally have, there's really not a ton of money in our budget. And we just had our independent auditor do a big study of our K through 12 system. And according to the auditor, we are about $7 billion behind what we should be spending on K through 12 on a statewide basis at the state level. And Chairman McKay likes to point out that our study says the state of West Virginia spends 25% more than Virginia on K through 12. I just want you to think about that for a second. I mean, West Virginia is ahead of us. Kentucky spends more than Virginia does. We're getting outspent by all of our neighboring states on this. And it's about a $7 billion hole. And just to have an understanding of how big that is, if we were to raise income taxes to 10% on people making more than $1 million a year, that would only pick up about $1.3 billion out of the 7. So, if we're going to start making progress on investing in our children, investing in K through 12, you're going to start to hear discussion about trying to do something on the revenue side over the next 4 or 5 years, because that's the only way we're ever going to make up that hole. And I just want to make sure everybody's clear about that at the outset. The county is dealing with their own challenges, which I'm sure Dan will talk about. But when you see commercial office buildings in this county selling at a third of the price they did 5 years ago, we have a big commercial property tax crunch in this county, which is why one of the things you heard about was the Fairfax Casino this year in Tysons. And I know, the casino across the river that all of us see when we come in, it's the most profitable casino outside of Las Vegas. They see over $1 billion a year in table game revenue going through there every year. When we studied this 5 years ago in Fairfax, they said the most valuable casino opportunity in Virginia is in Tysons. And that's one of the reasons I supported that. A casino in Tysons would save you all, everybody in this room, about $500 a year in property taxes, because the revenue would generate off of tourists and off of people out of the state and people coming to visit. So it's not going to go this session. The bill didn't pass. It died in committee. There's a lot of opposition, McLean, to it, obviously. But we have to diversify our revenue sources in this county if we're going to be able to provide the quality of services that I think everybody in this room expects out of their K through 12 system and your parks and your rec centers that you're going to see and everything else. So that's one of the things we talked about. If you were up here, you would probably think all we talk about is casinos and arenas. We actually do a lot more than that. But the arena, I'm not going to talk about the arena very long. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. The governor finally put out a transportation plan on it. It's not as many cars as you think. When you think about the volume that goes into the CAP Center, it's actually about the size of 2, maybe 2.5 high school graduations per game. It's not a football stadium. It's about 18,000 people per game. So it's actually not a big event. I don't know where that's going to go. We've sort of passed so far. I mean, You heard the congressman a moment ago about how productive their Congress has been. What was it, 24 bills or 30 bills or what? We've done about 400 so far in the Senate. We have about 300 to go, I think, in the next 3 days. And then we'll do probably another 400 or 500 bills after that come out of the House. We tend to be very efficient, move very quickly. But some things that we're fighting about a lot, you're going to be reading more. I think there's an article today about all the firearm bills we passed. We passed a ban on AR-15 rifles, which I think is important. We also passed a law saying you can't carry your AR-15 in public. My father and my son like to go to the Alexandria Farmers Market every day, and one day they went there. My dad gets a ham biscuit, my son gets cookies, and they went there and saw these guys from Prince George carrying AR-15 rifles at the farmers market, which my son still talks about today. I asked the guy on the floor, "Why do you need to carry it in public?" And he said, "Well, it's my God-given right." We passed a 5-day waiting period for guns. We passed safe storage laws. We've passed laws creating liability for gun manufacturers that knowingly sell rifles that are known to kill a lot of people. We've done a lot there. We're passing a bunch of laws, I think on Monday or Tuesday, to protect women's right to make their own health care decisions, which I think we need to continue to press hard on. Other than that, we have a lot of bills churning through the system. It goes very quickly. We need you to communicate with us to tell us what we need to keep an eye on, what we need to be aware of. It happens so fast. It's like skeet shooting. I tell people on the floor, they just say pull, and you're like, what? I gotta. So, and the last thing I'll just say, following on what Congressman Connolly said, when I came out of the building last night at 6 o'clock, I ran to a senator from Roanoke, and he's like, "What are you doing this weekend?" I said, "I got to go to a town hall." And he's like, "You Northern Virginians and your town halls." They don't do this in the rest of the state. Okay. I want you all to understand how special this is. This is not, they don't see this level of civic activism and engagement in most of the rest of the state, and they think we're weird because we do these things. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the feedback and being able to communicate with you all and hear what you have to say. And please make sure we keep doing this year after year, and thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Our next speaker is also a proud native of Mount Vernon, Delegate Paul Krizak. Paul has represented us since 2016, is working in a nonprofit executive, provides a foundation for all that he does with his work with all of us. He's also another leader we can count on, not only in the Appropriations Committee where he is, as well as critical for helping to make things happen in Mount Vernon in general. So with that, Delegate Krizak, thank you very much, Paul.
Hello, Mount Vernon. So this is my 37th town meeting I've been to, and many of you, I think, who were there at the beginning too. And I really want to thank my good friend Jerry Highland. He's the one that really got me involved in politics. I think when people were standing up, the appointees that Supervisor Storck has now, I think I had every one of those jobs once upon a time because Jerry Highland would appoint me to them. And I love, excuse me, I've lost my voice a little because we've been debating so much on the Hill. Down in Richmond, we call it the Hill up in Richmond. But it's been a very active session. And Jerry, I want to say one thing about Jerry. I miss your eggs. He used to bring the eggs from his farm, and I was hoping for a dozen eggs this time. But Jerry was always out there for us. I remember one time driving down the street on Candlewood, and I looked up and I saw this guy in a tree. And it was Jerry helping this old lady to cut her tree branches. And I stopped the car and I said, "Jerry, somebody needs to hold the ladder." So that was the least I could do to help him out. But there he was. And constituent service was his name of the game. And it's nice to see Supervisor Storck following in his footsteps. And that is what's really special about Mount Vernon, is that you guys care, we care, you elect people that care, and we're always there for you. And many of you have already come down to the General Assembly and visited me. I see a number of you that have been down there. Those that haven't certainly do come. It's the first time we've had a building that's purpose-built for government for the people, and there's lots of space. It used to be when you came to a subcommittee room, it was about the size of a closet, and you'd have to be in the hallway, you know, and you would be down. You couldn't hear what was going on. There was nowhere to sit. It was awful. Now there's plenty of seats. They're big. There's lots of space in between. It's very accessible. And it's just and it's all online too. So if you don't come, you can watch it online, and you can testify. Many of you have already testified in support of Money My Bills online, and I appreciate that. But it's what I always tell people about what's the difference, because I worked on the Hill for 10 years for Congressman Moran, and the difference between Congress and General Assembly is that we do what they do in 2 years, we do it in 2 months. And it's really Congress on steroids. And you heard that Congressman Connolly, they've only passed 47 bills. We do that in 2 hours. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. But it's, you know, we have a lot of bills coming across, and as the senator said, the next 3 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, we're going to have a few, maybe about 40% of the entirety of all of the bills that are coming across are going to be going through those 3 days, which we call crossover. So I expect that we will be there past midnight on both Monday and Tuesday night. And that could, what we have to do, there's a special thing we do when we go into a new day. We actually have to pass some kind of I remember it's only happened once in 9 years, we had to pass a resolution saying that we're still in the first day. So somehow we are able to stop time, and I don't know how that works, but that's because of the rules of the House, we can only be, it has to be that actual day. So that's what we do, even if it goes into 1 or 2 o'clock. I have a lot of bills that are still alive. I've got 5 that I'll be presenting on Tuesday. Monday and Tuesday will be voted on. I hope to have about 15 or 16 coming over to the Senate. I hope the senator will keep most of them alive, and I know that they will make them even better. These bills, the process is you introduce the bill at the very beginning, it goes through the subcommittee, and along the way it gets amended, and a lot of good ideas and a lot of stakeholder debate and testimony, and we make the bills a lot better and sometimes worse. But hopefully they don't get watered down, they get stronger, and that's what's happening. I'm very concerned. One of the bills I've been working most hard on is protecting our mobile home tenants, the parks here. We have 5 in my district, and you know, I represent everywhere from Fort Belvoir, and it's good to see the commander there, all the way to Alexandria. So I'm the one that has the biggest part of Mount Vernon, but I do want to say we have 3 other delegates that I'm aware of. I think Delegate Sickles has a couple precincts, and he's over there in the Franconia area mostly. And then we've got the new delegate, Rosia Henson, who's on the other side of Fort Belvoir, and he has a little piece of Woodlawn, and he goes further south. I think we still have Delegate Kathy Tran, and she has a number of precincts. So we may have maybe Delegate maybe one more. That's it, 4 delegates. So I'm here representing the team, if you will, and they're all back there. But the mobile home park problem is a real one, because what happens is these parks are being I'm getting the end sign here, so let me make it quick. Well, these parks are at risk of being redeveloped and people losing their homes. And so I'm just trying to make it so that, and the county has been a really good partner to try to make it so that those park owners can purchase the park themselves and keep it as a park with the help of the county. So that's the kind of law I'm trying to pass. And I'm working on a lot of good environmental bills. We did raise the minimum wage in the House. Hopefully it'll be happening in the Senate too, to $15, which will take place over the next 2 years. And you heard about the gun bills. We've got the assault weapon ban going through from the House. So there's going to be a lot of good legislation that the governor's going to have to deal with, and hopefully he'll sign them, and we'll be back there in April, in the middle of April for that. So we're halfway through. I'm going right back to Richmond after this. We've got a lot to do, and I've been subcommittee chair of 4 subcommittees. I'm on 4 full committees. I'm on like about 15 subcommittees. It's been very, very active. And thank you all for giving me that opportunity to represent you. It's quite an honor, and I'm glad to be able to follow the footsteps of people like Supervisor Hyland. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Thank you, Paul. And anybody who's been to Richmond, particularly at this time of year, knows that they are constantly moving, and it's just it's really a kind of a crazy environment. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. But I very much appreciate the work that you do on all of our behalf. So thank you. I'd like to next welcome our new school board member, Mateo Dunn. Mateo has served as an attorney for over 20 years, representing diverse clients and complex litigation. He is also the Stratford Landing Citizens Association, a former vice president, as well as with the Fairfax County Council of PTAs. Mateo is an advocate clearly for our students for decades. I look forward to our partnership on the corridor. Welcome, Mateo. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, this is certainly not my first Mount Vernon District Town Hall, but it is my first as an elected official. And I would be remiss if I didn't note that I'm standing before giants. Chris Amundson, who served for 8 years, Dan Storck, who served on the school board for 12 years, and Karen Corbett-Sander, who served for 8 years. I would not be where I am right now, but for their incredible service to this community, but for their support throughout my campaign. And I'm really looking to stand on their shoulders to continue their legacy of excellence and make sure that we continue to expand opportunities for all children. So we have an incredible community, we have incredible schools, but we also have incredible challenges. We have, the superintendent, Dr. Reed, has said that we are currently at an inflection point where either we will restore trust in public education or we will lose that battle and move in the direction of school vouchers, private schools, and so forth. That's both a local moment, a regional moment, and a national moment. So I am committed to making sure that we do everything we can, and I have the support of my colleagues on the school board, to make sure that Fairfax County Public Schools is not only the best school system in Virginia, but also in the United States and the entire world. That's my objective, and that's what I work tirelessly for every day. I want to make sure that we understand that there's a lot of change coming to FCPS. There are dire needs coming out of the pandemic, and that's reflected in the fact, as Senator Servell said, Fairfax County Public Schools have been underfunded by the state for decades. But we also have to recognize the federal government has also underfunded our public schools for decades, especially in the realm of special education, where they made a certain commitment, and they have not come even close to that commitment ever. So that burden has fallen on all of us, Fairfax County taxpayers. And the superintendent proposed on Thursday at the school board hearing a budget increase of $250 million. That's not something that I think is realistic. I can't support that. That would be about a 10-cent increase in your property tax rate. And we really have to look to the federal government and the state government to fulfill their underfunding. Fairfax County taxpayers have, borne the burden for too many years. So what I'm seeking to do is make sure that for every taxpayer dollar, we achieve a maximum return on investment. As I'm diving in, I'm finding business practices, procurement practices, and other opportunities to make sure that we spend in an efficient manner so that we can make sure that schools get renovated faster, school infrastructure is updated more quickly, and teachers actually get the compensation that they deserve. They are working very hard. My priorities are academic excellence, school safety and security, mental and behavioral health support, workforce compensation, and fiscal responsibility. So I'll be working day in, day out. I invite you to please sign up for my newsletter. Please contact me anytime I can be of assistance. Next year, I'll be here with a 30-minute State of the Schools presentation with a comprehensive overview. But until then, I will be here to serve you in any capacity and answer any questions that you have. But one thing I'm committed to is increasing community and civic engagement with our school system. So it's not at arm's length. You're welcome to come in and tour our schools. You're welcome to reach out to me for information. And I want to make sure that you are receiving the information you need to understand the direction our schools are going. Thank you.
Hey, Mateo, what's your email address?
My email address is mdunne@fcps.edu, and my personal cell phone is 703-795-7895. Text or call me anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Mateo. And what he didn't say is that the school board you have a retreat today that's an all-day retreat, which is why you're not able to do the traditional 30-minute review of the schools. So we look forward to you being part of it next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we've changed the program a little bit this year, and I hope you like the way we're going to do this. But it's time for our virtual fly-through. Normally it's been at the end of the meeting. Now we're going to do it in the middle because we think we can kind of bring things together better by having you watch this. It's a pre-recorded fly-through. We've done it because there's a lot of new things that you'll see, and hopefully you like it. And please, regardless, give us your feedback. But for the first time, we are starting in Lorton. It's at the brand new Lorton Police Station Animal Shelter. And with that, away we go. Welcome to the 2024 virtual tour of the Mount Vernon District, a cherished tradition that pays homage to the inaugural town meeting started by my predecessor, Jerry Highland. This tour is crafted using the Web Experience Builder and ArcGIS Online, a collaborative tool that enables me to guide you through the district, showcasing current conditions and changes while envisioning potential future developments. Nick Reinhardt, my land use liaison, and Greg Bacon of the Fairfax County GIS Department collaborated to create today's tour. Albi Sinayoko, our new Channel 16 producer, enhanced its visual appeal, incorporating fun and informative elements like this helicopter feature. Thank you, Nick, Greg, and Albi. The highlighted red area you see is the Mount Vernon District, home to 130,000 Fairfax County residents. Join me for a journey through Lorton, where we kick off our tour this year. In recent years, the county has dedicated over $200 million to enhance Lorton's infrastructure, including new facilities, roads, and parks. Now let's highlight our biggest accomplishment in 2023, the opening of the Lorton Police Station and Animal Shelter. The Lorton Police Station is the county's 10th station in the first in 2 decades, representing a significant achievement in recognition of the growth in South County. It was a great day on October 28th when we gathered to celebrate the grand opening of this state-of-the-art $34 million facility that also includes community meeting space and my Lorton office. Thank you, Chairman Jeff McKay and my board colleagues for their continued support for these major investments in Lorton. A community advisory committee will be set up this summer and volunteers are needed at the shelter. Contact my office to get involved. This facility stands as the final major public investment outlined in the 2001 Lorton Prison Adaptive Reuse Plan. Together, we made it happen. With this plan complete, we are currently immersed in the next planning cycle, Lorton Visioning 2040. Over the past year, dedicated efforts with a new consultant have been underway, and we held community and task force meetings. We eagerly anticipate finalizing this vision in the coming months. Across the street, we opened the Laurel Hill Community Gardens with 18 plots for residents and 1 for the Lorton Community Action Center food pantry. Thank you, Linwood Gorham and West Spear, for making this happen with the Park Authority. From here, we can also see Laurel Hill Park and Central Green. The picnic areas at Central Green have proven to be very popular, and permanent restrooms will open this spring. With walking and biking trails, a playground, frisbee golf, fishing, and the Laurel Hill Golf Club next door, Laurel Hill Park is a great place for outdoor recreation. Neighboring the park to the north, the Liberty development has seen several commercial businesses open this year. Lidl, Bryn Mawr Early Education and Preschool, Lido Pizza, Petite Smiles Dental, Always Polished, and Taco Rock. Thanks to the South Fairfax Chamber and Board Chair Casey Whitmarch for coordinating these grand openings. Elm Street Development continues to look for tenants with hope to attract a local brewery and restaurant. From here, we move to the Workhouse Arts Center. With over 65 artists, several performing arts series, hundreds of art classes, and the art of movement, and multiple events throughout the year, this community gym is a thriving arts complex. Our 9th annual Tour to Mount Vernon community bike ride will start at the Workhouse on October 19th this year. The Workhouse master plan is now complete. Thank you to everyone who has provided input. The county invested over $4 million to improve the entrance and street view of the Workhouse, create a new courtyard, and renovate the 2 buildings along Ox Road. These renovations are complete, and Bunnyman Brewery Company is expected to open in May. We continue to look for a restaurant for the other building. The Workhouse is the first Potomac Bank's Explore Fairfax South location in our tour. You will see this Potomac Banks logo as we visit the various partner sites. Created by my tourism task force, this new branding for the southern part of the county highlights our many historical, cultural, and recreational attractions, as well as breweries and wineries. Go to visitfairfax.org to download the Potomac Banks Savings Pass. From here, you can also see the highest point in Fairfax County, the closed waste management landfill, which is the peak you see as you drive down I-95. Within the next couple of years, we will be opening a park overlooking the beautiful Occoquan and Potomac rivers. Nearby is the county's I-95 landfill complex that includes Covanta's waste-to-energy facility, community drop-off for waste and recycling, pollinator meadows, George Mason beehives, and coming soon, a 5-megawatt solar field. Construction on the solar field is expected to begin by the end of this year and energy generation by mid-2025. Another proposal being considered for this site includes an indoor ski slope called Fairfax Peak. As with any potential development, there will be community dialogue and engagement as next steps become clearer. As we approach Richmond Highway and Old Colchester Road, the CSX bridge replacement has experienced delays due to escalating costs for the Northern Railway improvements into DC. The start date is delayed, but I am committed to getting this critical project done. From here, we head towards the water to Mason Neck and Gunston Hall, where they opened the fully restored 18th century Riverside Garden. We also see Powick Bay Regional Park, where I held my first hike with Nova Parks, and Mason Neck State Park, a great place to see eagles and other wildlife. The Bureau of Land Management, or BLM, Meadowood, offers mountain biking, walking, horse trails, and stables. Thanks to the advocacy of the Mason Neck Civic Association, the Army has changed its plans to relocate its caisson unit to Meadowood. A new $13 million Gunston Fire Station will break ground this summer, providing much-needed modern facilities for the area. Along Gunston Road, we received additional funding this year to plan for missing trail connections. The next stop on our tour is the Lorton Community Center, Library, Park, and Lorton Community Action Center, providing a crucial human development center for this area. This thriving community hub is a place where kids can play, families can learn, seniors can thrive, and everyone can gather. This summer, we hosted our inaugural Back to School Community Day, drawing hundreds of families for fun, games, music, food, and face painting, with a backpack and school supply giveaway to over 250 students. In September, we celebrated the center's first anniversary fall festival. I recognized Christine Moran, the heart of Lorton, for her unwavering dedication to the planning and execution of this special community hub. Christine's leadership has been instrumental in numerous significant projects in Lorton and Mount Vernon throughout her 15 years with this office. Nearby, we just completed a $103 million improvement in the Noman Coal wastewater treatment plant to improve odor control systems and enhance water quality discharge into Powick Creek. In recognition of these efforts, the county's Wastewater Management Division was honored by Virginia DEQ with Environmental Excellence Extraordinary Enterprise and Utility of the Future Awards. Continuing north, we come to the Newington area and the Fort Belvoir North, home to the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, where a 525,000 square foot distribution center is being built. Many of you have contacted our office for updates about the Newington Costco. A rezoning application to add 24 gas pumps and additional parking is under review. The one-lane Newington CSX bridge is also slated for replacement in the next few years. This year, WMATA received a federal grant for $104 million to build an electric bus maintenance facility that will support our future bus rapid transit system. We also broke ground on the new Capital Area Food Bank facility, set to be completed by late summer. We appreciate the advocacy of the Newington community to address a long-standing pedestrian safety hazard along a section of Newington Road to Telegraph Road. We anticipate trail planning and design work to begin later this year. Along the Fairfax County Parkway, we find the National Museum of the U.S. Army. I encourage you to visit this amazing free museum telling the stories of soldiers throughout the Army's 249 years of history. Returning to Richmond Highway, we see Fort Belvoir and the largest employer in Fairfax County, home to 150 different commands and departments, 51,000 employees, and $28 billion of county economic impact. We are also at the southernmost point of the One, our Future Bus Rapid Transit System, or BRT, at Pence and Lieber Gates. The One is expected to begin operating in 2031. Future plans envision extending the next phases to Woodridge and bringing Metro down Richmond Highway corridor. From here, you can also see the playing fields for Woodlawn Little League. Over the past 8 years, I've dedicated considerable effort collaborating with the League and the Park Authority to advocate for the addition of restrooms and concessions to the site. I am delighted that this will become a reality in 2024. As we continue up the highway, you will see the planned BRT stations and the beginnings of right-of-way acquisitions for the highway widening. As part of this effort, VDOT conducted a speed study, resulting in the adjustment of the speed limit from Jeff Todd Way to the Beltway from 45 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour, enhancing safety on the highway. This is also a pivotal location for our Potomac Banks vision. Future goals here include the development of a full-service hotel, fine dining options, recreation, and entertainment venues. One of my top priorities has been connecting missing trail segments, and I am thrilled to announce the completion of the Mount Vernon Memorial Highway Trail. This $10 million investment fulfills a long-sought goal for our community of walkers, runners, and bikers. Further down Mount Vernon Memorial Highway, parking improvements were completed at Gristmill Park, where you and your four-legged friends can join me on March 24th for the annual Ides of Bark Dog Festival. As we move through the corridor, there have been several new businesses and improvements, including the Woodlawn Shopping Center Wendy's renovation, a new Dunkin' Donuts, and the new Lucan's Lane 7-Eleven. Here we also find the new Woodlawn Fire Station, number 24. This year, the station became the county's first LEED Platinum certified building, currently the highest green certification a building can achieve, and we installed our first county solar panels on its roof. Here you can see the county's overarching environmental goals. I am proud to say we are making the necessary operational plans and investments to achieve these goals. Visit our Climate Action Dashboard for more information. This year, a mobile home coalition meeting was held where residents expressed their concerns to me. I will continue to work with residents and housing advocates to ensure no one is left behind. At the original Mount Vernon High School building, the county is investing $93 million to master plan and renovate this community landmark into a human development center. We recently launched a community survey on branding and wayfinding for the site. You can provide your feedback through February 11th by using this QR code. Renovation and adaptive reuse of this historic facility is underway to provide space for early childhood education, life skill training programs, a professional theater and recreation, as well as innovation and business incubation spaces. We expect completion in 2026. Future master planning for this site will run from Richmond Highway all the way to Mount Vernon High School. Thank you to my board colleagues for their recent funding support for this critical Mount Vernon project. This site is strategically positioned to catalyze economic development on the corridor. As the new Economic Advisory and Initiatives Committee Chair for the Board of Supervisors, I look forward to creating economic opportunities throughout the district and the county. Nearby Capital Chicken will open soon. In this area, you can see several examples of our work to clean up the highway. The Mount Vernon Auto Care Center and other buildings have been taken down in preparation for highway widening. This is also a good place to talk about our truck parking initiative. We've heard from many of you about the commercial trucks parked on major roadways. I agree that this poses safety hazards and looks ugly. We've had several meetings with the police and VDOT to gain agreement on what we can do and cannot do to address this problem. We've shared a flyer with you, and we need your help to contact VDOT and the police when you see trucks parked where they should not be. As we move to the Hybla Valley and Gum Springs area this year, we will see the beginnings of the new Mount Vernon Gateway residential development, with 280 multifamily units, of which 29 are workforce dwelling units. This is located at Buckman Road in the Franconia District. The county has invested significant time and resources as we work through the Gum Springs Heritage Resources Study. This will establish a historical context for Gum Springs and examine the built environment, cultural landscapes, and personal narratives that relate to, support, and exemplify the historic and cultural significance of Gum Springs. The study and final report will take approximately 18 months. Last year, we secured funding for a new trail connecting Martin Luther King Jr. Park to Little Hunting Creek, providing residents with enhanced access to nature. The Park Authority has begun design work. Welcome to our office, the Mount Vernon Governmental Center, the Mount Vernon Police Station, early voting site, community rooms, and access to anything you want to know about the county and our community. At this point, I'd like to introduce Team MVD, a dedicated group committed to serving you. Christine Morin serves as my Chief of Staff, specializing in economic development and strategic initiatives. Kamala Spear, Deputy Chief of Staff, focuses on communications and the environment. Nick Reinhardt is our Development and Land Use Liaison and is bilingual in Spanish. Peyton Smith works with you on transportation, trails, housing, and parks. Cassie Donahue manages our events, community outreach, and supports communications. Maddie Alvarado, our office manager, is welcoming face at our front desk, is bilingual in Spanish, and works on health and human services initiatives. And our volunteer extraordinaire, Lady Fairfax 2023, Shirley Short, who works hard on our information centers and numerous community events. Everyone on the team is also a notary, and we provide this free service to you. Thank you, Team MVD. Our neighbor, Inova Mount Vernon, marked several significant milestones this year. The hospital underwent a successful rebranding and introduced 2 new units. The Inova Specialty Hospital, the region's inaugural critical illness recovery hospital, and the Inova Mount Vernon Veach Behavioral Health Unit. Additionally, the Inova Cares for Families Clinic has been relocated to Henson Farm Road. Inova's partnership with the county helps to improve health outcomes and enhance residents' access to quality health care. Around the corner at Sherwood Crossing, we welcome 2 new businesses, Super Kids, Dentistry, and Only Bathrooms. Thank you, Mount Vernon Springfield Chamber of Commerce and Executive Director Holly Doherty. On Fortson Road, we dedicated a new historic marker to Annie Harper for her leadership to eliminate the poll tax by taking on the Virginia Board of Elections and winning. As we continue north on the corridor, Fresh World, an American and an international supermarket chain, is expected to open their new store this summer in the vacant Safeway space. We are all aware of the influx of panhandlers across the county. The Supreme Court has consistently determined that panhandling is protected First Amendment speech and guided local governments to use existing public safety laws to address any related issues. While the county has followed this guidance, police officers have difficulty holding individuals accountable because they must personally observe the violation. Officers focus on counseling offenders, and even when the offender's actions or repeated actions result in arrest, we have found limited long-term impact. The county is pursuing education, awareness, and information gathering to more fully understand why this is happening and determine more effective responses to aggressive or unsafe behaviors. Additionally, I've been meeting with our police and social services providers to intervene where effective or use enforcement where not. The brand new North Hill development includes a 12-acre public park with new pickleball courts, 175 market rate townhomes, 63 affordable senior independent living units, and 216 workforce dwelling units. North Hill stands as a testament to our commitment to provide accessible and inclusive living spaces. It is a prime example of my commitment to housing for all. We are now at the Beacon Hill BRT station and a future metro station. Planning continues at the former Hybla Valley Nursery site for the co-located PennDOT Fire Station with emergency, supportive, and affordable housing. The Board of Supervisors approved the comprehensive plan amendment study for the site in December. I'm planning to continue outreach and will host additional community meetings and updates this year as we go through the design and development process. Next, we come to the Bellhaven with 349 apartments, of which 42 are workforce dwelling units. This new pet-friendly community provides residents with green space, a linear park, and community pool. Across the street, adjacent to the South Alex project, you can see the new mural on Zips Dry Cleaners. Thank you, Evan Kaufman and the Southeast Fairfax Development Corporation, or SFDC, for their collaboration with local businesses to spruce up the corridor with vibrant public art. The Alexandria Crossing development at Shields Avenue at Quandah Road is the first development that was approved under the Embark Richmond Highway Plan. This 7.4-acre site will consist of 466 units with 46 workforce dwelling units, a pool, fitness center, and co-working space. Construction is expected to start this year. Also in this area is the Fairchild Quandah property, where we secured funding for a park and trail connections. As we approach the Beltway, we are now at Huntington and the northern gateway to the Mount Vernon district, where we are designing a modern, new Welcome to Fairfax County sign to be installed this summer. The owners of the Parker and 2560 Huntington Avenue are looking to rezone their properties for additional residential units with ground floor community and retail use. After several years of work and coordination, the Huntington Club Condo Association, in partnership with IDI, faced a setback in their community renewal plans. Economic challenges and various factors brought the project to a standstill, and it remains on hold. The plan for the Huntington Metro WMATA site creates a mixed-use, transit-oriented development, achieving the vision for the Huntington Transit Station area. I continue to work with county staff, WMATA, and the developer for an underground BRT station to link directly to Metro. County, state, and federal funding are essential to making this a reality. Additionally, Capital Bike Share will be coming to Huntington in 2024 with proposed stations throughout the district. Public meetings to consider the locations began in January. The Arden opened 126 affordable units last year, and the Aventon is now leasing 379 units, of which 38 are workforce dwelling units. My colleagues and I believe strongly in housing for all. This provides a wide variety of housing options for everyone who wants to live here. Mount Vernon is home to it all, from large riverfront homes to townhomes to manufactured housing. Further east, the proposal we received to redevelop the Brookside Motel site was withdrawn by the developer. This is a challenging site because of major environmental constraints. There are additional parties interested, and I look forward to working with them to improve this site. A proposal to expand the city-side Huntington apartment complex is under review with county staff. As we move towards the river, we reach the Bellevue Shopping Center, home to new establishments like True Rest and Light by Alexandria Electric. The permit process involved with these businesses underscored the need to streamline our county permitting procedures. I'm committed to facilitating a more accessible and efficient permit process. Construction on the Mount Vernon Rec Center is in full swing, and in 2025, this premier community facility will reopen with a 75,000 square foot expansion, a 2-story fitness center, pool, indoor track, building upgrades, and a second NHL-sized ice rink. With so many parks and recreation facilities in our area, I created a Mount Vernon Parks Public Input Committee to provide an opportunity for community leaders who are passionate about our parks to discuss their ideas with my office and our Park Authority Board member, Linwood Gorham. Here we can also see the GW Parkway Road, bridge, and trail improvements. More are underway as the National Park Service seeks the right balance between safety, travel, and history, especially at the Bellhaven and Bellevue intersections. Dyke Marsh stands as a natural treasure, being the largest freshwater tidal wetland in the area. During the summer months, this wetland comes alive with over 270 species of birds. Unfortunately, the ongoing erosion of Dyke Marsh, attributed to past dredging activities, has left the marsh destabilized. This erosion highlights the pressing need to address shoreline stabilization and minimize silt buildup in our coastal wetlands. Continuing our journey, we arrive at the recently designated Randall Estates Historic District. Here in the early 60s, Jube Shriver built the first homes for Black families who wanted a suburban home but were otherwise barred from this type of housing by discriminatory laws and practices. Our commitment to preserving the rich history and character of our community remains steadfast. This year we held Rollins Drive intersection community meetings to look at solutions to improve this intersection. VDOT is currently finalizing their latest recommendations, which they will bring to the community this spring. The design process will begin this year for the stream restoration of the next section of the Paul Springs branch of Little Hunting Creek to continue stabilizing the stream bed. Due to the challenges of infill development, I started the Infill Development Task Force to create a better understanding of the by right development process for residential infill projects. The task force has evaluated existing options to change the process both at a county and state level. The Board of Supervisors is considering these recommendations regarding site, tree, and stormwater management. It was an honor to celebrate the American Horticultural Society's 50th anniversary at River Farm. I appreciate AHS and their continued efforts to preserve this beautiful community treasure. Fort Hunt Park is the home to my annual Environment Expo, and I'd like to invite you to join us once again on April 27th. In collaboration with the National Park Service, this event is free, fun, and family-friendly. We conclude our tour this year at the iconic Mount Vernon Estate, which provides an eastern landmark for Fairfax County and is our namesake. Mount Vernon Estate and the National Park Service were essential partners in making last year's Tour de Mount Vernon community bike ride the best ever. We had over 500 riders starting on the closed George Washington Memorial Parkway and ending with a post-ride celebration on the estate. Wow, as you can see, there are numerous reasons why we're number one and the best place to live in Fairfax County. The Mount Vernon District is alive with activity, and it is my honor to continue working with you to see the changes we want in our neighborhoods and community. We are fortunate to be in a vibrant, flourishing area where all can live, learn, work, and play. Our district is renowned for its scenic beauty, civic activism, history, hospitality, and vast diversity. As growth continues, we recognize that maintaining a delicate balance between these incredible assets and seizing new 21st century opportunities is crucial for preserving our community character and enduring heritage. Stay connected with us by signing up for our newsletter at fairfaxcounty.gov/Mount Vernon. It is my honor and privilege to serve you as your Mount Vernon District Supervisor. So what do you think? Good ride? Yeah. We have a lot of, as you might know, we have a lot of people to thank for that. And I'll start with the amazing people at Channel 16 and Albi Sinioko, who really was shepherded and championed us doing it, these added features. And it is fun. It takes a lot of work, but I think it's probably a little bit more compact way of seeing what's happening in the community. And hopefully a lot of the questions, I've gotten a bunch of cards already, and some of the questions that are in the cards I can see, I think were answered here. So, but we still look forward to answering many more of them. So as you can see, we've got a lot going on in the Mount Vernon District, and hopefully this gave you a good snapshot, if you will, of our 2023 accomplishments, as well as our key initiatives for 2024. I especially hope that you will enjoy us for our many, many community events throughout the year. And you can tell we've got a lot of them that we do. Continue to look for ways to share more information with you. Hopefully not me, but I'll stand over here. Well, of course, I wanted to make sure that this is a mailer that we send out to every single household in the Mount Vernon District, and hopefully you all have seen it this year. It's a great way, a great resource for what's going on in the district, not only to kind of the overall message, but inside is the 2023-2024 work that we've done. So if you haven't seen it, there are some out here at the table, but also we have plenty more if you don't remember it. And frankly, if you didn't get it or you don't remember it, let us know. Maybe we need to do something different to share that with you in the future. So you can also access my mailer online by going to the fairfaxcounty.gov/Mount Vernon. The county has made some incredible investments in the Mount Vernon District, and we know we have, frankly, even more coming. The slides show this just shows a little bit of some of those investments. But the big number is almost $300 million a year this past year that the county's done, and over $2 billion kind of now and going forward. So I absolutely thank the chairman and my board colleagues and the many, I know I see some key county staff members here, and I'm going to welcome the county executive here in a minute, that have been a key part of helping and bringing those investments to us, and frankly, transforming Mount Vernon District. I've worked very, very hard with not only the chairman and county executive to address the many, many Mount Vernon needs and initiatives that I think help to make our community better. Typically, the chairman would be joining us this year, and I think this will be the first time in decades, but he will not be able to be with us today because he was diagnosed with COVID, and he will miss his first town meeting, I think, in more than 2 decades. He asked me to relay to all of you his sincere disappointment that he cannot be here today, and to also thank you for coming out and letting you know that if you need to get hold of him or if you want to connect with him, it's easy. Just go chairman@fairfaxcounty.gov. However, joining me here today for the my seventh town meeting, and my 9th town meeting, and his 7th town meeting, is our county executive, Brian Hill. And Brian, please join me up on stage. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to sit and chat for a few minutes here on a few issues, and we have a number of audience questions we're going to get to, but before we do that, I just wanted to thank Brian personally and really professionally. This man is in Mount Vernon more than any county executive has ever been, period, case closed, end of story. He is there, he's meeting with folks, visiting sites, he's mentoring kids, he's meeting with the staff as well as community residents, and I just want to thank you for your dedication and your commitment, and frankly, your interest and involvement in all that we're doing here.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Your words mean a lot to me. When you hired me, you said you wanted a different way of doing business, and I think we've accomplished that. But before I want to say the things that we discussed that we're going to be moving forward, I want to say thank you. Welcome. Good morning to everyone here. Mount Vernon is a very special place, and this supervisor is making it special, if that's a word. Can I use that as a word?
I'll take it.
You take it? All right. I want to give shout-outs to our fire and rescue folks here.
Yeah.
And Mark Mitchell, I see you in the audience somewhere. Thank you, Police District Commander. Thank you. Guys, appreciate everything you guys do. You know, the first time I came to Mount Vernon, I watched an issue with a homeless person, and the compassion that was used by those 2 officers was amazing to me. So I walked into the 7-Eleven. I told them thank you about how they handled the situation. One was a field training officer, and he had a rookie with him. I just finished playing basketball. So, God, I didn't look like this, trust me. And I just walked out maybe about 4 hours later. My phone starts blowing up. Chief Davis calls me. He said, "Were you in Mount Vernon, Huntington area?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Okay." And then I got like 20 emails. That's not why I do my job. It's not why we as public servants do our job. We're here to serve everybody in this room, as well as the 120,000 people in the district. And I thank you for giving me the honor and the privilege to do that. I do. Thank you.
You truly made a difference here, and for that we are deeply thankful as well. We have why don't you take a few minutes, and then I can start with a couple things that I've got with respect to funding, and I know that's going to be the #1 issue that we're all going to be talking about.
Is this where I can leave?
No. It's where you get your checkbook out, sir. No, he's got county executive's got a budget he's going to be bringing to the county board in a couple weeks. I think 2 or 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, February 20th. That's 2 Tuesdays, or one Tuesday after next. Yes, sir.
So we've got that, and we know a big part of that is how do we fund all the different things we're doing. In particular, we've got the expense, frankly, for our school system is we spend about 53% of our county tax dollars on the schools, something that I know as a school board member, I was always looking for more and trying to try to make a difference with kids, but I also recognize that where that money comes from, and as we heard from our majority leader, Scott Soville, earlier, there's that challenge statewide with funding schools, and we know there's a need for that. This first slide I wanted to show you, it just shows the average schools that around the country, or actually particularly in our area, but also around the country, and the funding for schools that comes from the state. And we know from the state study that was done this past summer, was issued this past summer, we know we have work to do. And again, as the Senate Majority Leader, our local state senator mentioned, we've got some major challenges there, and we're looking for ways to do that. The next one talks about particularly the SOQ formula, which is the formula that's used it's called Standards of Quality, SOQ. These are state standards. Dan Storck didn't come up with this, or Fairfax County Public Schools didn't come up with that. The state said these things are important to do as a minimum standard to offer around the state. And as you can see, we're not even meeting that. And more importantly, it's the cost to Fairfax County in particular is huge. We've looked at this, and I know we can have some discussion about what this amount is, but there's no argument that if the state fully funded SOQs and really funded some of the other things that are related to that with respect to what they've committed, our county alone would get about $500 million more from the state. And $500 million is worth a lot on our property tax rate, which funds 65% of our schools. In fact, 65% of our county budget, which in turn is what we fund the schools with. The next slide you'll see is the funding for special education, as well as our English language learners, as well as what we call free and reduced meal, the special needs population, lower income population. Earlier, I think it was Jerry Connolly, somebody mentioned, and I don't know if it was Jerry Connolly or not, somebody mentioned the fact that at the national level, Mateo Dunn mentioned, at the national level, when they passed the Special Education Act in the 1970s, I believe it was, Congress committed to funding, I think it was at least half of that. 40%. 40% of it, thank you. 50%. And we get now what, it's less than 10% probably, right? So we know that's a big source. We know the state, obviously, funding how we fund our special needs kids, which is special education, as well as our lower income folks. Those are all major sources. So you can see we've had a little bit of bump up in some of that funding, but you can see the special education funding's gone way down. And then finally, the last one I wanted to mention is Loudoun County is the richest county in the country. That's what's said, and we all know that. And we know Fairfax is up there as well. But Loudoun County being the richest county in the country, counties like Fairfax don't do as well as Loudoun. Loudoun gets more money per capita than we do for their students. So we know that there's some clear changes that are needed to recognize that. I personally don't like the funding formula because while the funding formula that's used statewide determines that's called the LCI, Local Composite Index, while it determines what we get here, it's based upon, frankly, theoretically, the wealthiness or the richness of that particular county. And it counts not only property tax, which we have access to fund schools and other ways of doing it, personal property tax, but it also counts income taxes. And the county has no access. We get no money back, at least in terms of broadly for schools. We get about 22 cents on the dollar, 23 cents on the dollar directly. And I know there's also money that goes to state institutions, schools and prisons and so forth. But in general, the county gets far less than we send down to the state. I would say at a minimum, maybe we get half of what we send down to the state. So we know that that's a challenge for us. We know in turn that those payments come out of your pocket in real estate property tax and personal property tax. And we're looking for ways to improve that. And I know our state delegate and senators and others from around here are equally aware of that, and they spoke about that this morning. So we have a long way to go, but continued work to do. But that creates challenges not only for the Board of Supervisors and how do we fund those, but the county executive and the budget you're putting together.
Yes, it does. There's a lot of areas of concern in our budget going forward. Obviously, I haven't detailed everything to the Board of Supervisors as of yet. That happens on February 20th. We did do a joint school board Board of Supervisor meeting just a little bit after, I believe it was before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving? I think it was before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was before it.
And in that presentation, I presented to the Board of Supervisors and the school board that we would hopefully have a county transfer somewhere in the neighborhood of $140 to $160 million. On Thursday, I was told, or I saw, that the schools requested $250 million increase going into this year. So we're basically in a situation where we have to figure something out. I mean, that's the short and skinny of it. They are 90% compensation is their budget, 90%. So obviously, as we've had to struggle with our own issues with compensation and vacancy rates, they are doing the same. I will speak with the superintendent to understand all the nuances of her budget. I'm going to try and help her maybe shave that number down because, you know, saying $250 million, that's a lot of money. That's just an add-on from last year's budget.
And that's just the schools.
That's just the schools. And, you know, I'll say this. I've been very proud to state that the Board of Supervisors has allowed me to present, this will be my 8th budget, believe it or not. Who would have thought, right? Yeah. So 6 out of the 7 budgets that I have presented prior to this one coming up was fully funded to the schools. I am not going to say it's going to be 7 out of 8 at this juncture because that's a large gap I have to come up with. But I'm sure with our heads and our hearts, we can figure out a way to get them where they need to be. This is all about One Fairfax. This is all about Fairfax County. It's about our economy. It's about us. And to be the best, you have to do things that are a little bit, at times, out of line, but we have to figure out ways to be the best, and we're going to continue to strive to be the best.
Thank you. And I know it's not our only challenge. We have significant issues with mental health and substance abuse, and public safety is always going to be one of our core issues. Any particular thoughts you want to share about that?
Well, I want to say about public safety, Police Chief, our Chief Kevin Davis has done an excellent job in recruitment. We are, if you think back to 2001, we had a very high uptick in hiring public safety staff. Well, those young ladies and young men are now in that time of their life where they can retire. So we're having to replace them. We went as low as 200, I believe, officers that were vacant. I believe our number now is less than 116. We do quarterly. You think about that. We have quarterly classes in fire and rescue. Every quarter, we're graduating a fire and rescue personnel. Their vacancy rate right now is about 6.5%. And we're continuously doing it each and every quarter to ensure that we don't have a big influx of openings. Going back to police, we've had our 3 largest classes. There's a lot of scuttlebutt about why people don't want to be policemen. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm not going to get into those here today. However, I will say this. We've hired over 140 officers over the last 3 classes. Of those 140 officers, I would say 60% of them have a bachelor's degree or higher. 47% of them speak 2 languages or more. I've heard, and this really makes me sad, I've heard that we've brought down our standards to bring in police officers. Well, a bachelor's degree is still, I think, pretty good, I thought.
I would say so, sure.
But we have a plan to move forward. I do want the folks in the Mount Vernon district to know we have 92 officers on the streets at all times in Fairfax County. When I came here, we were at 72. Even though our numbers have gone down, gone up with vacancies, we've kind of restructured things. Your district commander does a great job. He's on board with everything we do. He's always around. If Dan Storck says I'm about in the community, that gentleman is about in the community.
Mitchell's been great.
He's amazing. Fire Chief John Butler's down here as well. So we're working towards trying to make sure that we have the perfect complement of not only fire and rescue, public safety, police, dispatchers. It's all about Fairfax County. So I think we're in a good place, sir, as we continue to move forward. We have great leadership in all our fire public safety departments. And, you know, it's a testament to where we are in Fairfax County. You know, when I look at Prince George's, Montgomery, the district, our classes are going up while theirs are basically plateauing, and there's a reason for that. We're the place to work, and that's why that's what we do. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
No worries.
I know we have a lot of questions. Maybe we can move towards that, and happy to answer as many as we can. We've got definitely about 20 minutes. We'll do this, and then we'll come back a little bit later. And one of the reasons we appreciate them coming on cards, I know it's not always the way that people want to do it, we can answer more questions, and particularly group some of the questions that we get to answer multiple ones at the same time. Do you want to take one, or you want me to get started?
Well, I'm going to, so I just want to make sure everybody knows, if I don't read the cards out properly, that's because I'm a poor reader. It's not your handwriting. Okay? I'm just saying that to you now. So this first one was from how long does it take to get an elevator inspector to inspect a newly repaired elevator? Ms. Kunkel, if you're here, I'll speak to you as soon as I'm done, because I know who I can call and we can get that squared away. But it shouldn't take that long, but let me speak to you offline, and then we'll take care of that today, okay?
And I'll take one. This gentleman said, is the Route 1 progress still on due to the higher interest rates and budget? And I hope folks saw the fly-through. I think answered hopefully most of that question, but the bottom line answer is yes. We have more than half the dollars, which is almost $1 billion, that we'll be using to frankly renew Richmond Highway, not only to widen it in the southern portion, but also to add bus rapid transit, which we call the One. And additionally, we are looking, and hopefully we'll finalize with the Federal Transit Administration, FTA, sometime this spring, our ratings with them. Our rating with them matters, because if we get the right rating, then we should be on track to get fully funded their part, which is about 50% of the cost of it. So I'd say we're definitely on track. 2031 is still the focus for us.
Okay.
Let me do another one. This is Yvonne wanted to know, is there any word on when the traffic light coming out of the Lorton Community Center will be adjusted? It is a long holding time, I know that, when leaving the library, LCAC Senior Center to turn left on Richmond Highway. I don't know, but I sure have wondered the same thing, and I'm going to ask. Okay, good, sir. All right, Mr. Hill, thank you, sir. And Claire also wrote on a separate note, what are you doing to address the violent crime in the Route 1 corridor? My community recently had a carjacking. Yes, there was a carjacking about 2 weeks ago now. We know a lot about it. We have identified, and for those of you who get my newsletter, in the newsletter itself, there was video of the perpetrators of that carjacking, and we're trying to find who they are. Our police have been incredible in terms of their closure rate for these kinds of things. But take a look at my newsletter, send it to your friends and neighbors, relatives. It's probably not somebody from our immediate area, which is why they came here. They came from somewhere else. And the best way we can make sure that they don't come back is to arrest them and make sure that anybody else who would want to come over here and do the same thing knows that they got arrested, convicted, and they're serving time, long time for that. But yeah, we are very much aware of that. And I've spent many conversations.
And just for statistics, we've had 25 carjackings last year, which is 25 too many. But when we look at it comparatively across the region, I think we are the envy across the region. Montgomery County was next. I'm not going to give you their numbers. I have them. If you want to talk to me after, I can give you the numbers for the entire region. However, we were comparatively lower, and our arrest rate is comparatively higher. Once they come here and do what they do, we tend to get them pretty quickly. So kudos again to FCPD. You want me to take this one?
Yeah, go for it, sir.
So on the traffic light, we're going to speak with VDOT. I have your I have your phone number here. I also have our Deputy County Executive, Rachel Flynn, here, who I will ask to work with our Director, Greg Steverson, to see what we can do about that light. Do you believe resident concerns about traffic are being adequately addressed in the Potomac Yard Station deal? Yes and no. I'll tell you, can't adequately address anything until it happens. However, I do speak with the City of Alexandria's city manager once a week. Asked him to come to Fairfax County to give us an overview of the proposal that is going in Potomac Yards. One, there's traffic. Two, there's infrastructure and stormwater, because when they build up that property, the stormwater or the water has to go somewhere. We're going to have to be talking to them about that. We also will be speaking to them about response. And guess what? We needed to speak with Metro, because I was one of the CAOs on the Metro committee that asked why they only put one station entrance into that station. And now it looks like we're going to need a second if they're going to have a large venue as such. So there's a lot of things that we're working on behind the scenes, obviously. However, as I stated, I am speaking to the city manager on a daily, if not weekly basis. He is bringing his entire team to Fairfax to go over their proposal.
Yeah, and that's kind of a bigger question than us, but we're going to be impacted by that.
Big time.
That's clearly this is from Patricia. What's being done to make sure that folks who are convicted of a crime serve their full sentences without plea deals? This includes minors under 18. And that's a Commonwealth attorney issue. And as folks here hopefully know, the Board of Supervisors is truly not involved with that part of it. We provide funding as the state does, but the Commonwealth Attorney is an independently elected office, as with the sheriff, and their responsibilities are frankly a function of what they interact and what you all share with them. So I would advise you and urge you to contact them and share that. And then Yvonne was asking about, are there plans to have 2 lanes turn left onto Telegraph Road from Beulah Street? Cars illegally turn left in the 2nd lane. I do not know that, but I know that we can ask somebody in my office to follow up on that and to get an answer to you from VDOT and see. As most of you maybe know, the roads in Mount Vernon District or roads in Fairfax County, 98% of them are run, controlled, managed, if you will, by Virginia Department of Transportation. We work with them. They listen to us, but they are an independent body, and they ultimately make their own choices about that based upon their own engineering studies. So, thank you.
This question is the Mayor of City of Alexandria. Mr. Burton, you have a lot of good questions about Alexandria. Where is Mr. Burton at? All right. How about if I catch you after? This one we have, so let me just read the question. Stated that the city will rely on regional compacts or to draw in on other local departments for public safety. So we do have intergovernmental and regional MOUs that we have situated throughout the region. Obviously, after 9/11, that has heightened our interest in homeland security. However, within the city of Alexandria and Fairfax County, there are agreements that we adhere to. I will talk to you offline about your questions, because this one goes a little deeper than what Fairfax County does, but I want to talk to you about that specifically, if that's all right. Thank you. Keep going. No?
The question, this is a police question, but our local captain is here, and I can take at least the part of this. First and foremost is, with respect to trucks along Route 1, is it still illegal to park within 10 feet of a fire hydrant? And hopefully those of you who watched the fly-through got a taste of at least what we've been doing. And in your bags is a very specific sheet that we need your help with. The bag sheet that's there about truck parking, it gives you 1, 2, 3, actually I think it's a 6-step process you need to go through to assess that, like we do. And yes, it's illegal to park within 10 feet of a fire hydrant. And so if you see that, if you see something, you say something. In this case, we urge you to call the police non-emergency line and share that with them, and then in turn they can follow. We do have, and I know we have a parking enforcement officer, one and maybe two.
Yes, sir. Frank Sims, I probably have some bias, but I'd say he's our best parking enforcement officer in the county. So he's been with us probably over the last 3 months. He was out of our operations support bureau, but now he's actually with us, assigned full-time in Mount Vernon to see him out there. But extremely responsive. We want to hear about these concerns. Please call in the dispatch center, whether it's email us directly, and I promise you, we'll definitely respond.
Thank you, Captain Mitchell. And Captain, just to summarize in case folks couldn't hear, he says that they have a new parking enforcement officer, been there 3 months. He's very proactive. He needs and wants to hear from you all, and they will be responsive to whatever you bring to them.
I got more.
They're also asking about enforcement of this 35-mile-per-hour speed limit on Route 1, and I know that that is I've seen some of the folks that are there, and they are doing that. It's I'm sure more of a gradual process, and I'm sure you can come and talk to Captain Mitchell later about that. And the last one I wanted to get to is, and this is, I'm going to share this with Captain Mitchell and ask him to follow up. There's not a name on this one, but it says there is obvious drug dealing on the route at the 7-Eleven on Russell Road, along with other illegal behaviors such as prostitution. Yes, that 7-Eleven is in Franconia District, but the red carpet in formerly the Southern Motel is in your district, and many people crossing Route 1 are residing at that motel. What are you doing, what are you and Les doing to resolve this illegal activity? Well, there's actually, I see two questions, one of which, and Captain Mitchell knows this, we had a meeting with the owners of the property. There's a Sunoco station, a 7-Eleven, there's a Taco Bell, there's a restaurant there. We met with all the owners, Supervisor Lusk and I, and they were very, very, very supportive. In fact, they've installed cameras on their property that we've already seen some significant impact in the number of, I'd say, behaviors that appear illegal or inappropriate. So if you see something, say something. We're going to do our best to correct it and change the behavior over time. But and in this case, we're pretty familiar with both of these situations. Then the Russell Road 7-Eleven, I know there's some issues there. But Captain Mitchell, I'm sure, is going to, did you want to comment on that, sir? Right?
Yes, sir. Definitely, again, back to kind of where the team will be in response. We get these concerns, jump on them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Excellent.
Our neighborhood patrol unit, again, probably continuing this bias, being the captain here, but again, I know their dedication, their work ethic. They're out here all the time as far as saturation patrols. Once we get concerns directly from the community, our patrol squads, we up staff on a regular basis to increase visibility as well. And as Supervisor Storck stated, we directly meet with members of the community, our property managers, our business owners, because we do believe, it needs to be a team effort. And of course, with technology, our flock cameras, our license plate readers, we've had a lot of success through 2023, and the momentum continues as we install additional cameras that will help us with the crime fighting mission. And the last thing I just wanted to add, reference the carjacking. Montebello Gardens, we are on top of that. I was just in conversations with the Violent Crimes Division commanders. We have actually a community meeting on February 27th. We'll be there to update everyone on the progress. We're doing our saturation patrols, and we just met, of course, with property managers just this past week in the condominium association. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Mitchell. Thank you very much.
I have a question. What are you doing to address the racial disparity in health care? And that's an interesting question. In 2017, I believe the Board of Supervisors adopted the One Fairfax policy, access and equity basically for all Fairfax residents. In 2019, we've done a strategic plan outlining 10 strategic initiatives, one of which is public health. The One Fairfax tenet is basically predicated over 17 disciplines that include public health. So our communities of advantage, of opportunities through the lens of One Fairfax and the office of our Chief Equity Officer, Carla Bruce, tells me and shows me where in our Fairfax County where we have issues with public health. We have dashboards that we have set up to ensure that we know who we need to get to and when and how we can get to them, predicated on our work with INOVA as well as our FQHCs. So whoever wrote this question, please see me before I go so I can explain to you and show you, depending on where you live, I can show you a place to go quickly, because we're setting up our federally healthcare operations along the corridor as well as throughout Fairfax County. The next question I have is, why has Fairfax County not been assigned a seat at the new arena, Arlington, Alexandria, to have seats? Speaking with the owners of Monumental Sports, we are basically on the periphery for several reasons. However, we have access to Mr. Leonsis as well as several of his minority leaders. Not sitting on the board does not mean Fairfax is not involved. I'll just say it like that. I got more. Okay. How will the county diversify its tax base to get more revenue for schools? I was gonna say something, but I probably shouldn't say that right now because the senator might get mad at me. We're working with our legislature to help us with JLARC, as Supervisor Storck stated. But we're also, I want everybody in this room to know, we have 10 Fortune 500 companies headquartered in Fairfax County. There's 14 total in Northern Virginia. Of the 93% of the companies in Fairfax County are 50% or less, or sorry, 50 people or less. Our diversification efforts have centered around data centers. I hate to say that. Some people don't like data centers, but if you ask me, they bring great benefit to us because we're becoming a technological oasis here. If anybody has a smartphone, you need a data center. We're working on quantum physics labs. We're working with Virginia Tech. We're working with the University of Virginia. We're bringing in medical. We have 100,000 job openings in the Northern Virginia region. 60% of those job openings are in Fairfax County. We need to fill those jobs with affordable market rate housing. Once we are doing that, we can diversify pretty quickly because we'll have people here that are spending money here as opposed to living elsewhere and coming in for a day and then leaving. So our diversification process is really centered around affordable housing. And I want to thank Mr. Fleetwood for his efforts with affordable housing. I'm going to be working with Rachel Flynn to look at market rates, affordable housing, as well as with you, sir.
Yeah. And a key part of that is keeping our tax rate, our property tax rate, as low as possible because that adds to the cost of housing here. I'm going to do one more question because then we need to go. But one, or actually two. One is about speeding. If you have an issue with speeding in your neighborhood, we have a program called RTAP, RTAP, which is a great program. We work with the community, and if the community wants to move some speeding reduction changes, mitigations, they can do that. In my office, we've got a gentleman who works with Peyton Smith, who works with these all the time. So just contact my office, and we'd be happy to work with you. That's from LISCO. And then the elephant in the room is always the elephant in the room for me and for us because it's a visible part of the community that always is deeply concerning. We have people who are in need. There's no doubt. We see them in different situations all throughout the county. We have not only housing, but we also see folks who have needs, who need food. We have food marketplaces or pantries, food drives. We have housing, food, but we also have folks in our community that we see at medians or on the side of the highway asking for money and looking for help. Panhandlers is the name that we use quite frequently. I've got a number of cards from folks about that and how do we address that. And the key part of that is making sure that we have the social services, we have the housing, we have the social service agencies that can support those individuals. If we do, and I believe that we generally do, not at the highest level yet, but I think we do it at a satisfactory level, then we can look for those people that are in the median strips and on the side of the road to say to them, please use one of our community services, one of our social services. And I personally ask you, I know there's some controversy and differences of opinion about this, but I personally ask people not to give money to folks that are panhandling. It's a challenge. You heard me in the fly-through talk about that. There's no real right way to do it. I personally would like to see signs that remind people to please don't give and to urge people to contact our social service agencies. I don't know if you have anything you wanted to add to that.
Signs have to be approved by VDOT. We are working with them to figure out ways because it is their roads. I did that, was able to do that in my previous county, in James City County. However, looking at those statistics, it didn't work because even though the signs were there, folks still gave folks money. Unfortunately, that didn't work. But before we get off the stage, I do want to say thank you to John Walzer for being here. Chief, thank you. I see you. Rebecca Makeley and your team, thank you so much. And, you know, my guy, Tony Castrilli, you know, he always keeps me. He's another Mount Vernon resident.
Yep. Lives down the street from me. Well, I thank you all very much for your questions. I know that particularly with some individuals, they don't feel like we've truly listened. I think of the emergency housing and the fire station and those work, and I know that I've had 27 meetings on that particular issue, and I know folks, just because the decision wasn't what they wanted, they feel like we're not listening. I absolutely listen, trying to do the best for everybody in Mount Vernon. In other words, to make sure that we have housing for all. That's a personal concern and care of mine. I don't want to leave anyone behind as we redevelop the corridor, and those are commitments that I've made, and we'll continue to do our best to make sure that those are balanced commitments that everybody has a stake in, everybody has some really opportunity to be involved and make those differences as well. So, County Executive Hill, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you very much being part of this.
My pleasure. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to be out there waiting for 3 people.
Okay.
At least. Okay.
Find them out there.
All right.
We now have the next part of the program is to talk about education, and we had to do a little bit different this year. I mentioned earlier in the presentation that the school board member Mateo Dunn couldn't be here for this part of it, but we have a great number of experts here that want to share their thoughts about higher education and, if you will, post K through 12 education. And with me for this portion of the program are 2 of my almost lifelong, but definitely long time partners on the corridor, people that I've worked with and aspired to emulate much of their work. Former school board member Karen Corbett Sanders and former state delegate and former school board member as well, an education author, Chris Amundsen. So if they could come up here, along with, we have Northern Virginia Community College Provost, Dr. Diane Mutzi. Diane, Dr. Mutzi, if you could join me up here, we're going to get started with a few Q&As and give everybody a chance to say a few words ahead of time. So thank you. Welcome.
Sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Well, maybe while Chris and Karen are getting settled, maybe you can get us started with the kind of some background on you and the kind of work that you've been doing.
Certainly, certainly.
No, not quite on yet. Is there a button on?
Hello?
Is there a button on the side or anything? Well, I have no idea.
I don't know. They said it would just turn on.
Oh,
There you
we go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Diane Mucci. I am the provost of the Annandale campus of Northern Virginia Community College. And I just wanted to take a moment to welcome you and thank you all for being here today. If I have a moment to give a little bit of information about NOVA, I'd be happy to start there if that's appropriate.
Sure, and then we'll go to Chris. Yep.
Okay, great. So a few things about Northern Virginia Community College. We have many programs that integrate with the high schools here in Fairfax County and at all of our 6 locations. Northern Virginia Community College does have 6 campuses, plus an online platform where students can learn in a completely online environment. We have dual enrollment in the high schools, including Mount Vernon High School. We have a little over 100 students who attend NOVA from Mount Vernon. Who, after they graduated, they come to us. We have about almost 17,000 dual enrollment students for the 22-23 academic year. That's a 19% increase over the previous year. So we're super excited about that. And something that I would like to let everyone know is Fairfax County alone has 5,240 dual enrolled students. And our dual enrollment program doesn't have any cost to the families. It is free for those students who want to participate. So we're very, very excited about that. We have some workforce programs as well. They provide in-demand skills and preparation for industry credentials in healthcare, and skilled trades. And in the academic year 22-23, NOVA had almost 4,000 students enrolled in workforce programs with a 93% completion rate, which is very impressive. We have some new programs. There's a new one that just launched in 2023, which is our licensed practical nursing program to help fill the gap for healthcare that is so needed in this area and, of course, all across the country. And we also have another program, which I'm sure you're familiar with, called Fast Forward, which helps pay for these workforce credentials. Students enrolled in Fast Forward courses are only responsible for 1/3 of the program cost. And our top 3 programs that are eligible for Fast Forward funding are the Clinical Medical Assistant, CompTIA A+ certification, and Certified Billing and Coding Specialist. So in 2023, NOVA served over 1,000 Fast Forward students and almost 600 credentials were earned. So we're very excited about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mucci. And I know that a former delegate, I don't know how we should call you. I call you Chris, but
I hope you call me Chris.
you know, I do. But you've done so much for this community for so long, decades, and your focus on education has been a huge part of the difference that you've made here. Maybe you can give us some context to
What I was
all
going to
this.
try to do was set a little historical context, because when you get gray hair, you get to do that. But I was thinking about the very first town meeting that Jerry had and what would have been the experience. And you know, not long after that first town meeting, and in the room just down the hall that was not yet named the Mike Skinner, it was not yet named for Mike Skinner. I think he was still an assistant principal at the time. But at that point, those students who walked across that stage and who got their diploma were able to come down off the stage, get a good job, and live a middle-class life. They did not need advanced credentials. That has, of course, all changed. Do we have any of this? I know my slides are sort of AWOL, but there they are.
There you go.
This now gives you a look at what Virginia's economy now looks like. And the higher number means that Virginia is ranked in the current jobs in our economy. We rank 7th in the country in jobs that require post-secondary education. You can look at all the rest of it, but that's I think the telling number. there has been a kind of a rumor that you don't need advanced education. That's just not true. During COVID, people who did not have college degrees were unemployed at the tune of about 17%. People with college degrees, it was less than half of that. And so, you know, now if you look at the unemployment rate by education, you know, it is just essentially a straight line. The place that I would take a real look is the third line and the fourth line from the bottom, because the real bang for the buck comes when you leave high school and have an associate's degree or a credential of some sort. So the licensed practical nursing, dental technician, all of us people our age who are experiencing all those joys of healthcare, you know, the people who are running all the machines and doing all of the testing, most of those are students who probably came through Nova, and they are now earning middle-class lives, middle-class wages. So that's going to be the real key, I think, in the future, is not only looking to guarantee that more students have the opportunity to go through a four-year college, and there still is plenty of evidence that students who graduate from a four-year state institution have really terrific outcomes. But if you don't have that, you need to at least get these credentials. So job growth in Virginia is going to be, through 2031, we're going to create roughly 500,000 new jobs. Of those, 356,000 are going to require post-secondary credentials. Again, not necessarily college degree, but post-secondary credentials. So not, you know, if you go to Longwood or James Madison and then drop out after 2 years, what you've got is a lot of debt and nothing to show for it. If you go to Nova for 2 years and leave with a credential, you can walk out and get a good job. And that is going to be really critical, because in Virginia, by the year 2031, which is pretty close, more than 70% of the jobs in the economy are going to require credentials beyond high school. So I just wanted to quickly look at some of the things that states are doing. In Tennessee, Tennessee Promise scholarships promise every student who attends a community college that they will not have to pay tuition or fees. In Texas and in Massachusetts, not necessarily states that you think of as being paired very often, but they're both using advanced high school programs that are more than and different from the International Baccalaureate and AP. They're P-TECH and early college programs. And I think that's something Fairfax County should definitely look at. And in fact, you will be shocked to learn Karen Corbett Sanders already is. Then I think the other thing that states can do, and that the Commonwealth of Virginia does not do a good job at, is to target and create a sort of community college completion program. So those students from, you know, who went to a year to a college and didn't get a certificate, get them back into a community college, get them a certificate, get them a degree. And finally, partner, and this is so important in the Route 1 area, partner with small businesses who are the real engines of job growth. And there are places in the country where smaller businesses are being linked with community colleges. So there are lots of things that I think we would like to do. I know that Senator Surville has had some programs that would increase financial support for community college students, and there are things that we would like to do. It will require a lot of, you know, the kind of work that we're not afraid to do, which is rolling up our sleeves and working out all the kinks. But it is exciting to think about preparing students of all ages for the next economy. So.
Great, thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
we'll pass it on to Karen and kind of fill in how the two tie together that we've been talking about.
Oh, okay.
First, Dan, thank you for putting together this panel. As you know, this is something that I am passionate about, although I am humbled to be on a panel with Diane and Chris because they have been doing this work more diligently than I have. So thank you, ladies, for all you have done, not only within the state of Virginia, but specifically along the Route 1 corridor. I shared with Diane that I actually was sent to Northern Virginia Community College when I was a senior in high school because we didn't have AP programs. And for me, that's what got me hooked on the importance of dual enrollment and the importance of our community college system here in Virginia. I wanted to talk a little bit about those 100,000 jobs that are currently vacant here in Fairfax County and those jobs that are the highest growth areas of the future. And those happen to be in the state of Virginia. No surprise to what Diane has mentioned. It's in the healthcare area. And the healthcare area here on the Route 1 corridor, we have the Governor's Health Sciences Academy, which was established while Dan was the school board member at West Potomac High School, and most recently we've really expanded that in our partnership with Northern Virginia Community College for those licensed practical nursing degrees. And so a student in Fairfax County schools today can actually graduate and 3 months later get a LPN degree because of the opportunities through dual enrollment. And so I encourage you not only to look at the healthcare area, which also has dental and pharmaceutical tech opportunities, but also look at some of the other high growth areas that are available to our students here. And that includes in data analytics, which is a growth area, as well as, I just want to give you a quick top expected jobs requiring an associate's degree or a certification. Going forward in 2024 are nursing assistants, licensed practical and licensed vocational nurses, medical assistants, teacher assistants, and computer user support specialists, as well as heavy and tractor trailer truck drivers, hairdressers, and hairstylists. Those are just the top ones. And guess what? You can actually get skilled in Fairfax County schools in each of those areas today. And one of the things that I encourage our students to look at is to explore through our academy programs and through the dual enrollment and the career and technical education programs, those opportunities. But those opportunities are different than some of the other places across the country in that they're available to all students. And so that's significantly different because here in Fairfax County, we do care about making sure that not only are our traditional students able to take advantage of these opportunities, but our neurodiverse and multi-ability students are able to. So for example, we have a strategic partnership with the STEP program and Fort Belvoir, as well as with Service Source for our students with disabilities who may be taking courses either through Mount Vernon High School or through our Pulley and Davis centers, as well as opportunities at our adult high school. What we need to do is embrace the concept of lifelong learners, and that is looking at opportunities that are currently available for our students, but also teaching our students how important it is to be able to continue with their education in multiple areas. But there's another piece of that, and that's the work-based learning opportunities that require partnerships with our business community. And Chris was so eloquent in talking about those small business partnerships. Those are the places where our kids and adults can get retooled through apprenticeships and journeymanships and other opportunities. But it also requires our the help from our legislature in Richmond. And I do know, I see Senator Survell here, and he has been a big supporter of increased funding for those work-based opportunities as well.
I'd like to pick on one thing that I remember from my school board days, and I know you all are probably familiar with this too, and Dr. Mucci maybe as well. Getting people to think differently about career and technical education, and the fact that it's not a landing spot, it's a next step, it's a career ladder, and with that ladder you can do a lot. But we know the barrier is not only people's attitude like I want to be a doctor, I want to be whatever, but it's not understanding that this is truly stepping stones. And I would like maybe each of you, how do we get parents, how do we get friends, how do we get others to understand that? And the other part of it, and you've touched on it, and I would like if you could talk a little bit more about how do you fund it, right?
I'll start. I think of all of the professions that figured that out, nursing is the one. You start and you are a nursing assistant, and then, you know, you can continue to work and get additional credentials and continue to work and get additional credentials. That's the approach really to careers that we need to adopt for everybody. Now, when I was on the school board, and I was going to actually ask almost the same question and see if it was still true for when you guys were there, parents would say, well, that's fine for somebody else's kid, but my child is going to Harvard. And I would think, yeah, no. First, I know your kid, he's not going to Harvard. But second, 2 years of a 4-year degree with no particular plan and no particular organization makes you wind up degreeless and in debt. And so that is really key. And that's why I'm not really a statistics nerd, but the numbers are important because it really does make a difference.
I would also say that it is a competitive advantage when students are looking to apply to school if they can actually put on their transcript that they've got work-based experiences or that they have certifications. Because what happens then, and having sat on admissions committees at universities, it changes the perspective of the people looking at it going, this kid has actually done something a little bit different and has shown that they can succeed in college. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and just to build on that very quickly, through NOVA, you can get certified nursing assistant, licensed practical nurse, an RN program at our medical education campus, and or we have a health science general studies degree that will transfer to a 4-year for the BSN, or they can transfer from the RN program to a BSN or an accelerated master's if students are looking to get more towards a nurse practitioner level. So we have a lot of opportunities through our healthcare. We also, and one we didn't touch on a lot, is the IT and the data centers that were mentioned earlier. And NOVA has a robust curriculum around information technology, computer science, and data center operations. And many of those programs also transfer to all of the universities in Virginia, but especially to George Mason University, where a lot of our students transfer, and we can keep the students here local to give back to our economy.
Thank you, Dr. Bucci.
One thing real quick.
Yeah, please.
It's also, we talk about the jobs that aren't being met and the importance of our of affordable housing, but equally important is the availability of work experiences for our young people, because there is a direct correlation between a student getting experience while they are in school and where they end up locating. And so it is in all our interest. I'm a bit selfish. I happen to have 2 adult daughters, but I want them to settle in Fairfax County or in Northern Virginia. And the way to do that is ensuring that they get those experiences. So I'm imploring businesses to work with us on that as well.
Yeah, I think that's very well said. we have a question here. This will be maybe difficult. I don't have all the information, but I'll read it and maybe start with you, Dr. Mucci. I am a teacher at Groveton Elementary School. Many of my students do not have a government ID. What are their career options? I encourage higher education, but is it worth the cost for these kids if they cannot be hired without government documentation, meaning I assume some kind of work permit, green card, whatever that might be?
Right. So NOVA is an open enrollment institution. We accept everyone. We accept everyone, including undocumented students, and there is a financial aid program called the VASA, which can provide some financial aid opportunities. There's also some work-study programs, some opportunities there. So if anyone wanted to talk to me about that afterwards, I'd be happy to give you my business card, and we could have a deeper conversation about that.
And we recognize that we have immigration documentation issues that are in many ways above our pay grade, particularly the latest decisions by Congress I think are hurtful not only to individuals in our economy, but also to, I think, in some ways the rule of law, having a system and a process in some kind of defined way that people can come into the country and then in turn can work. We have 100,000 jobs in this broader region that need filled. And if we don't fill them, it means our economy is not going to achieve its potential. It means we are that much below what we could do if we had those folks that are credentialed and able to work. So that's a tough one, and I know that I, like most people, took a deep sigh at that because it's gone on for so long that we've not solved that particular issue. But I also know that I don't want to keep anybody from reaching their full potential. So whether they're documented or not, there's opportunities in our education system for them to get
opportunities for education, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I know, Karen, you had a card that I don't know if you want to.
I do, and it's a card really which is more reflective of a sitting school board member, but since I am no longer on the school board, I will give you my response, which is, so what is Mount Vernon doing to bring up the scores for the disadvantaged students, which are much lower than other Fairfax County scores? And actually, I'm thrilled to be sitting next to Chris on this because the two of us are passionate about something called EduTutor. EduTutor is a proven approach to providing one-on-one or two-on-one tutoring for students who may be falling behind. And the important approach that is being taken is that there is that one-on-one tutoring during the school day, and it assesses students before they begin the tutoring and assesses them afterwards. And so it is an iterative process, which I know both Chris and I are passionate about it. Chris has been working on this for many years with other jurisdictions, so I want her to answer this as well.
We founded it during the pandemic. And it was originally, you will be shocked to learn, one of those, if you know Mark Warner, he's like the 500 ideas a day guy. And he said, hey, wouldn't it be great if we've got college kids who are missing out on internships and students in grade school who are below grade level, and couldn't we bring them together some way? And so the day after he did that, and it was on a Zoom call, several people got on with him and said, all right, Warner, are you serious about this one, or is this another of the Mark Warner ideas of the day? And he said, no, he was serious. And they said, well, we could do this. And so we have. And we now are tutoring 500 kids in 4 school divisions. We've had I've got to be honest, we've had more difficulty getting started in the Mount Vernon area than any other even parts of Fairfax County. And I can't exactly tell you why, and it's a disappointment. But in Alexandria City, for example, we have entire schools where there's one school where the principal always says to us, well, he would come and clean our oven because he has seen the dramatic increase in his student scores. So we continue to work on it. We continue to plug away at it. Some of the money now that the state has devoted to tutoring is going to start to come to EduTutor. And the other cool thing about it is many, but not all of our tutors, it's virtual, but many, but not all of our tutors are pre-service educators. In other words, they're students considering becoming teachers. And what we know is that that young teachers leave, 50% of them leave in the first 5 years. And there are lots of reasons for that, but one of them is nobody ever taught them really how to work with kids who are below grade level. So that's what we're doing. So that is not the only solution, but it sure makes a difference.
And then the second piece of it is addressing the chronic absenteeism piece.
Yes.
And it is a national epidemic that post-COVID, people are more likely to stay home. And you want them to stay home if they're sick, but you don't want them to stay home just because. And so this is an area which the schools and the county are working very diligently. And the county took some leadership several years ago with giving free bus passes to students. And the reason you say, why is that a contributor? Well, if a kid misses a school bus, then they need to find a way of getting there. And so between the free bus passes coupled with what they call double backs, which are Fairfax County is actually sending their buses back out on routes where students tend to be more absent, and sending them back out to get them to come to school. And then the third area is knocking on doors and having conversations with parents. I will urge you that as a society, we do need to have a mindset of how important it is to come to school. Yeah. Because frankly, we talk about this is a workforce development panel. If they're not coming to school, are they going to come to work? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we need to instill it.
You know, I mean, I remember hiring young people who worked for me, and it was like shocking that I would say, well, I know you were out drinking with your friends last night, but that doesn't matter. You still have to come to work the next day on time. And they would say, I do. I'd say, yeah, this isn't Econ 101. You know, this is your job.
Thank you. And Dr. Mushi, if you had any final comments, and we need to then move on to the next stage. So did you have anything else you wanted to add? Or?
Just certainly thank you all. I'm very, very passionate about the mission of the community college and what we can do to help move our communities forward and help lift up the socioeconomic status of everyone who's interested in coming to us and learning. So thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah. Pleasure. And my colleagues who've been so critical in our school system here, and we know it, showing up and getting support are keys to the Mount Vernon community, and we've got to find a way to get tutoring and support to those kids. And you count me in, whatever we need, I'm there, all right? Well, thank you all very much.
We'll be back.
Thank you.
Well, folks, this is the end of the formal program, and I wanted to thank everybody for being here, and especially kind of sharing your comments, questions, your concerns. That's really what makes for a town meeting. That's really why we do this, is we truly are listening. We truly are trying to find a way to get things and make things better. I know I thank the folks, whether you're here in the audience or here virtually, I think it all works. I also want to give you thanks for helping us to make sure that we're giving you the information. And I know at times we haven't always done that, so we look for different ways to do that. We know it's essential. Your engagement, your involvement helps to drive economic growth, helps to really make our communities thrive and feel inclusive. And frankly, we continue to be really vitalizing, if you will, or invigorating our community to help us do, I think, something that is the core of why I'm here, and hopefully why you think that I represent you, is to help us all reach our full potential. We know that our community is an amazing one, from really the waterfront vistas that we have, the new businesses, housing for all. I've mentioned that as a key part of for my vision and support. The job opportunities, we've heard about the job opportunities. You know, 100,000 jobs in this area alone. It takes a lot of work to get us where we need to go, but thank you again for working with us to help us revitalize and reimagine the Richmond Highway Corridor. We've got $1 billion+ of investment just on the corridor that we're putting into widening and to the bus rapid transit system, the one, as well as to focus on making our communities more livable, and frankly, our main street, Richmond Highway, Route 1, truly our main street. It's not a commuter way. It is where our businesses, where we all go to shop and connect and enjoy each other. So don't want to leave anybody behind. I want to make sure we focus on helping people reach their potential. And again, I will say that we are number one. We're the one. So you'll keep seeing me say that and do that because it changes the mindset. You know, traditionally we had a different mindset for Route 1. Well, we're changing that with all the things that we're doing, and I thank you all for helping to make sure that's part of it. So join us for the ribbon cuttings, join us for the other community events. I have a number of them this year. They're in the packets, and I think I advertise that. Join our newsletter if you're not on there, and we have a packet of information that's in a bag that's available for everybody. You come to our office. If you didn't get to the meeting and you're online, you want to get one of these, a whole bunch of good information in there. So stop by, say hello to us, and we appreciate, again, your being here. I invite you all to join me in the cafeteria now. We're going to have, we have some amazing samples from our many local restaurants. They've given us their food, and really in exchange for you coming and sampling that, and hopefully you then going to visit their restaurant. Restaurants in general are having a tougher time now, so they need our support. They need us to make a difference with them. So come in to the cafeteria, mix and mingle, enjoy the food. And again, this concludes our 37th annual Mount Vernon Town Meeting. Again, appreciate everything you're doing for us. Thank you.